I went back to the largest antique mall in America looking for comics. Did I find anything? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and today I've got a short comic book haul for you. These are books that I picked up at the largest antique mall in America, the Factory Antique Mall in Verona, Virginia. Now, this is a mall that I recently found out about, even though I make it a habit of stopping in Verona, Virginia every time I head back to my place in West Virginia when I come down from Maryland, because they've got a smoking Dairy Queen there. They make the best blizzards that I've seen in a long time from a lot of different Dairy Queens. So plug, I'm not getting paid for this endorsement, but Verona, Virginia Dairy Queen, you guys rock. So I stopped there a lot, but I never really knew about this antique mall and how big it really was. I mean, I saw a building that said antiques, and I didn't think much about it until I saw another YouTube channel talking about this particular mall. And I made a point of stopping here a month or so ago, and I found some comics there, but I didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't get to explore the whole mall. But I knew it was huge because you go in and it's deceptive of how big this place is. You think it's a small building and you pass it just as you come off the exit of I-81. But if you look, you can see other buildings in the background that get a little bit bigger, and you think there's different buildings back there. Well, they're all connected, and this building just keeps going on and on. And I was able to stop here about a week or so ago, and I stopped. My wife was with me, so she got a chance to finally go to this mall and do a little antiquing herself. She got wore out. It was so big. And the thing was, I knew that they had comics there the last time, and I did pick up a few things. I wasn't necessarily overly impressed. There were a couple of booths set up that were very pop culture oriented. They had comic boxes, they had some movie memorabilia and things like that, toys, Funkos. So it wasn't just straight up comics, but they did definitely have some comic long boxes to go through, short boxes to go through. And I was able to do that again in this video. And I was definitely, I don't know if I was more impressed this time or less impressed. I did find some things, but I tell you what, I did take some footage. Sit back and enjoy this. It's going to take a little bit, so be patient. Join me after the footage, because I shot a lot of different things, not just comics, to kind of give you a feel for what was in this mall. And I didn't even do it justice, because I'm sure I didn't shoot anything too much more than what I was interested in. Obviously, it was the pop culture, toys, comics, things like that, but tons of furniture, glassware, anything. I mean, you could just name about anything you could find in this place. It was pretty amazing. And anyway, sit back, enjoy the footage, and I will be right back, and I'll show you the comics that I picked up. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that footage. I did shoot an awful lot of stuff, but I still didn't do it justice. Their place was huge. Really, you could spend the whole day there and probably not even finish up looking for everything you could possibly imagine. But anyway, so I did find some comics, and you saw some of the bins there. You saw me going through some of the bins. You saw some of the different places. There were comics in old cabinets that a lot of them were locked, and I couldn't even get into them, which was okay because there really wasn't anything I was seeing that I was definitely interested in. But I did manage to find a few things. What I didn't find there, as I've seen in some other antique malls, is some higher grade books. What I saw were, for lack of a better term, they're dollar bin, quarter bin books. A lot of the stuff is in there. There are definitely some hidden gems in there, and I did pick up some good comic books, but in the end, this place was, while it's good for antiques, it overall wasn't great for comic books, and I couldn't find anything in there that really I got super excited about. I found some books that I added to my PC that I didn't have, so it was definitely some run filler type books, but the grades are actually, if you could get good grades, and I did try to pick out really good copies. If you thought about getting these graded, I'm going to give you some of those stats, what a 9.8 would go for, but I will also show you there's a theme that if you can't get that 9.8 on any of these type of books, you should just forget about it. Do not get these books graded because it just falls off the cliff. I haven't used that term in a while, but falling off the cliff at a 9.6, it's just not worth getting it graded. So it would be books that if you really thought that they were worth a 9.8, I still honestly would put it into a pre-screen with CGC because I wouldn't want to chance it. 9.6, you're probably lucky in some of these to even get your grading fees back out of it. But anyway, I digress. Even though I'm not Peter David, let's get into the books. I've got them right here. So still some good things that I picked up. Let's start with the first one here, and I'll give you prices on this because I think I ended up spending about $20 here because these prices were all 50% off. I got all these from the very first dealer I went to, that first booth that you saw in the footage. That's where I picked up everything. I did not pick up anything from the rest of the mall, mostly because the conditions on some of the books I might have been interested in were just not there. They had, you can see the comics were in racks, and you could tell people have been thumbing through them, and of course they're all not dog-eared, the spine ticks because they got bent over in the rack and things, and I passed on a lot of stuff. But let's just start with the books. And as I said, I got 50% off of all of these, and I still have the price tag on the books. That's how they have the price tag on these books, and it has the name of the dealer, so when I take it up to the counter, they know who to give that credit to. So let's just start with the first one, and it is John Sable Freelance from First Comics. This is the first issue. This is by Mike Grail, and this is a book that not a lot of value. Again, I'll give you 9.8 value. This one's actually probably the most valuable comic in here if you could get that 9.8. And it's a relatively recent sale of the 9.8, sold for $180 back in December of 2023, 22, excuse me. But I don't know if this one has a little bit of a tick over here, but I didn't get this, and I didn't really pick these up necessarily to get graded. The rest of these are mostly just run fillers and things of interest, while this one right here, I bought this because Mike Grail is going to end up going to one of the big Baltimore, either the Baltimore or the Heroes Con, Comic Cons coming up in June, in a few weeks actually, down in Charlotte, or the one in September is the Baltimore Comic Con. He's going to be at one of the two, and I don't remember, maybe it's both, I'm not sure, but this is a book that I don't know, I love. When I think of Mike Grail, I don't remember him much. I didn't know who Mike Grail was in the early 70s. In the 70s, when he was doing Legion of Superheroes, Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, or All-Star Comics 58. I know he did the cover. I don't know how much more he did of that. He did, and of course, Warlord. These are books that I didn't really, I had a few books here and there, but I never thought of him as that. For me, growing up, later on in collecting, Mike Grail for me was always known for a couple of different things. He was known in First Comics for doing John Sable. I remember this. I love this book. He also was, of course, the Green Arrow, the Longbow Hunters. That I think it was it 2 issues, the Prestige format from DC Comics, and those are 2 books I'm going to have to find. I know I've got them on my PC, but my point was I'm going to take this, and if I can find those Green Arrow books, I'll take those to the cons and have him get them signed. I don't think I'll get them CGC'd or anything, but it'd be nice to get these signed for the PC. Book like this literally had a $2 price tag. I paid a whole dollar for this. This right here is a book I'll pick up occasionally just to keep adding a few. It really never took off. This is Warriors of Plasm from Defiant Comics. Am I wrong? Was Jim Shooter involved in this after he left Valiant? My mom actually bought this, a copy of issue number 1, and got a t-shirt from Defiant Comics when she was buying stuff like this off of QVC. That was her only place where she could buy comics for me really easily. So she sat there and watched QVC, and she got me a lot of really nice signed books that I should try to pull out occasionally. And I'll show you some of the books that she's got me that have been signed over the years. But I remember I still have the t-shirt. I've almost worn it out, but it had the logo, the Defiant Castle logo up here. Can't see it because of the price tag. But I'll pick up really good copies of this. This came out in 1993, by the way. A 9.8 on this sold here just a few weeks ago, and it's pretty much worthless. I'll never get this graded. Literally, one sold in... Actually, they sold in March. One sold for $36. The other one sold for $70. I will not bother to get this in here, but I'll keep it in the PC. It's a first issue. Just like this one right here from Malibu. This is a prototype number 1. I didn't look these up when I was there. I'll pick up number 1 copies of certain things that have certain interests and everything. This, again, is another 1993 copy book right here. Malibu never really took off. It had some interesting characters, but it didn't... Prototype definitely was not one of those, but it's very much in that vein of the Image comics of the time. But it's a number 1 issue. But surprisingly, a 9.8 sold back in 2020 for $150. But I think that's a little deceiving because back then, this is January, February, March. Yeah, it was actually May of 2020. And what were we doing? We were right at the beginning of the pandemic and people staying at home, and people were spending money on crazy things. And they probably saw somebody did a 9.8 a sale of this and like, oh my God, I got to have that. And people were spending money like crazy from home. So there was no sales since then. And I seriously doubt that this book is worth that even today. I would doubt that this book is even worth more than the grading fee, to be honest. But it's a number 1 issue, and I'll throw it in the PC and just to have it in a collection. Now, the rest of these are actually pretty nice books. They're all nice grades. They're not keys, but they're nice. It's a nice run filler, but you got some good talent on these books, and it's all from Captain America. And I'll start with the first one I picked up, and this is issue number 226. This is from 1978. Nothing special about this book, really, just a run filler. But surprisingly, a 9.8 sold on this back in December of 2021 for $150. But here's what I was talking about. If you cannot get a 9.8 on this book or any of these books, for the most part, they drop off drastically. The last sale of a 9.6 on this issue was in January of 2022, just a month later, for $42. I mean, you got grading fees and shipping. That's what it costs to get this graded. So hardly worth it. The next one is 229. This is, again, of course, 1978. 9.8 just literally sold last month for $100. A 9.6 sold a couple months ago for $89. That's not too bad, not too shabby on that one. That's actually a pretty nice cover right there. It's got some interesting characters. You got Quasar. Who else you got? The Texas Twister. That's always really good. And I said Quasar, but they've got him listed as Marvel Man. So that's an interesting issue. Let me set these down real quick. And let's see, this right here. Oh, and these Captain Americas, they had them listed for $4 a piece. 50% off. They're all $2 books. And as I said, I spent with tax a little over $20 for all of these. This is issue 238. And I definitely picked this one up. I mean, all of these I picked up because of the grade. They look really sharp. But you've got this great John Byrne cover here. And I knew that about this time he started doing Captain America. I know by issue 240, I want to say 247, 248, into partway through the 250s, he was doing Captain America, and it got some great issues in there. And I didn't know when it started, but as it turns out, I looked this one up. He did the cover, but he did not do the interior. But nice value actually on this one as well, 9.8, $129. But again, we're back in 2021 when these prices were probably a lot higher than you'll see today. When I give you these prices, I'm giving you the most recent sale. I don't give you fair market value. I'm giving you the most recent sale. So I can hardly trust a price on something like this, even a 9.8, because it came from November of 2021. It's not really. I don't think that really holds up. Just because it was the last one doesn't necessarily mean that's what it's worth today. It is worth what you want to put into it. I suppose if you got a 9.8 on this, you could ask whatever you want. But if people aren't really, it's not desirable, but then it's just going to sit there. Anyway, I'm rambling. Last two books. This is issue 239. And again, you had this wonderful, wonderful John Byrne cover. And if I'm not mistaken, he actually did the art on the interior. So I don't think he did a consecutive after that, but this was one of his issues. What a great cover. I mean, if you guys haven't figured out that I am a huge John Byrne fan, one of my big goals is to get the X-Men run of his, all graded at a 9.6 or higher. I mean, love that. I mean, just about everything he ever did, I just absolutely adored. And it's really hard. It was really hard for me when he left the X-Men to enjoy the book. Now, I did enjoy some of the Paul Smith run, but after that, starting with the John Romita Jr., I really didn't like it. Go back and you actually read the stories. The stories are great, but that John Romita Jr. artwork I just really kind of despise, and I didn't really like his artwork again until he started working on Daredevil and started refining that artwork, and it was definitely in my opinion, a lot better. But regardless, I hold every artist I ever see, a comic book artist that is, up to John Byrne. I mean, are they at that level? And pretty much the answer is no. He is such a talent, and despite what people think of him and all the stories of his attitude and the way he treats people and things like that, I'll put that aside. I would just take the artwork. There isn't any art I'd put out there for the most part. I mean, there's other artists that are fantastic and they have their own styles and everything, but just straight up comic book storytelling since from the 80s on up to today, I don't know if there's anybody better than John Byrne. I'm sorry. I just absolutely love his artwork. And if you guys get a chance, do a search on YouTube. He has done about 25 or so issues, I'm not really sure, of a run of X-Men stories that he wrote and illustrated. They're not inked, they're penciled. Full issues where it basically picks up, I think it picks up right after issue 143 when he left the X-Men, and he just continues doing the stories, and I think it's called Elsewin. So check that out. I've been pulling him up and just online. He has them in not a blog, but on a message board. You can go in there and you can click on every issue and it will pull up the art every page, and you just have to click and go through each page by page. But it's an amazing story. I mean, it's very much like reading his Hidden Years books that he did with Tom Palmer, and that was continuing the X-Men after the final issue before they started doing the reprints back, was it issue 66, 67, they did the Hidden Years, and that it's very much in that vein where the stories are just continuing off from that stopping point. So in this case, it was the stopping point of issue 143, or maybe not necessarily 143, but it was actually 138, because in these stories, Jean Grey survived. And if you guys know, there is the untold story of the Phoenix and X-Men, where they give how they originally wanted things to happen. Originally, Jean Grey survived, and they did something to her to remove the Phoenix force, and they left her alive. And I think the story is Jim Shooter said, you can't do this. I mean, she literally destroyed worlds and killed billions, and there's got to be a consequence, and that's why they had to end up killing her. But I think these stories, these Elsewind stories, definitely will. Jean Grey is still active and still alive, and it picks up from that point. But again, I'm digressing. It's just John Byrne is one of my favorite artists, and I think that's the point. Anyway, last issue, Captain America 243. This one's got some nice talent right here. We got Rich Butler doing the art in the interior, but you've got this wonderful George Perez and Joe Sinnott cover. It's fantastic. And maybe I downplayed what 9.8s were worth on this. This one actually sold here just a little less than a month ago on eBay for $180. It was a best offer, so it wasn't quite $180, but I'm sure it was fairly close as a 9.8. But wow, in the same month, in fact, a few days earlier, a 9.6 sold for only $26. That's somebody lost some money on that one. But anyway, these are the books that I picked up from the show, from the Antique Mall. Again, there wasn't anything there to really get super excited about, but I did enjoy going, and I did enjoy going through the boxes. There were some other things in there that might have piqued my interest a little bit, but I passed on a lot of the stuff. Again, it was every one of these booths it was dollar bin type stuff, mass-produced books that you can find just about anywhere you go, quarter bin, dollar bin, whatever. And so I didn't find a lot of stuff, and there wasn't a lot of stuff that was locked up in a display case necessarily that I found like that in other malls. In a lot of other antique malls, you'll find a glass case, and the more premium books will be under glass, and you have to go get an attendant to come open it up and then go through the books in their presence. But there was none of that in this mall. As I said, there were some in some cabinets here and there, but nothing that piqued my interest enough to actually open them up. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think about the books I picked up. And if you get a chance, have you ever been to this antique mall? Let me know by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. All right, so that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this show. If you enjoyed today's show, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and definitely hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on episodes like this each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. And if you're ever interested in any of the books I show off on the channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on my Instagram account. And if you're interested, also just check out my eBay and my Shortbox pages. I've got links to both of those in the description below. I've got a lot of books for sale, a lot of slab books. There's definitely some raw books though on eBay. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely check those links out. And if you're ever interested in just making a deal, just contact me, like I said, on collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on Instagram. But that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all get a chance to visit the Factory Antique Mall in Verona, Virginia, and then go to the Dairy Queen and get yourself a Blizzard, guys. Treat yourself. It'll be a great day. And if you do, leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know what your experience is like. And again, let me know what you think of the books that I picked up today. So I'm out of here, guys. Take care, and remember, every comic has a story.